2018 Land Rover Range Rover Velar SUV Review. The good points of Land Rover Range Rover Velar SUV. Great-looking new SUV. High-tech, premium interior. Fabulous long-distance capability. The bad points of Land Rover Range Rover Velar SUV. Dynamically not much of a match with the Porsche Macan. No hybrid option. Premium quality means premium price. If you're among those people who feel that all Land Rovers appear like Range Rovers right now, and all sorts of Range Rovers look alike, then you'll probably react to the Velar like Brenda from Bristol reacting on the general election. What, yet another one? You're joking. But the newest Range Rover Velar, an intriguingly named premium SUV conceived to plug the gap between your Evoque and also the Range Rover Sport, actually starts to make sense if you look closer with the range. As it is possible to tell through the low-slung roofline and tightly sculpted aerodynamics, it is a very sporting sort of crossover, aimed squarely for the Porsche Macan, BMW X4 and Mercedes-Benz GLC Coupe. Where does the newest Range Rover Velar fit? The average Evoque, by incorporating optional extras added, leaves the showroom like a £45,000 car. The standard Range Rover Sport costs around £70,000. Range Rover reckons there's a gap there, and the revolutionary Velar is aimed squarely advertising. At launch, prices range from £44,830 to the entry-level diesel and £85,450 for your limited first edition because of the bells and whistles. But the newest Velar might be more than just a training in market segmentation. It's a stupendous new interpretation in the Range Rover brand, the modern step inside the long evolution in the utilitarian 4x4 of 1970 with plastic seats. To your 21st century luxury GT. Range Rover Velar, a gorgeous-looking SUV. Land Rover's head of design Jerry McGovern covers a reductive approach to your Velar's styling, stripping away fussy details to generate a smooth, futuristic look. It's also by far the most aerodynamic car Land Rover has ever produced. There's an abundance of lovely details. For example, the slender LED headlights, along with the flush-fitting door handles that pop out if you unlock it. It looks dynamic too, having its tapered tail and raked back windscreen. Altogether there's a resemblance of an ocean car inside Velar's purity, plus it makes the other Range Rovers look positively frumpy by comparison. What's in the Velar's skin? The Velar will depend on the same basic chassis since the Jaguar F-Pace, with double wishbone front suspension and multi-link rear. Land Rover's air suspension can be an option around the four-cylinder models in standard for the V6s. There are 6 engines overall, 3 turbodiesels with 180 horsepower, 240 horsepower along with a 300 horsepower 3.0-liter V6, and 3 petrol engines, a 250 horsepower 4-cylinder, a 300 horsepower V6 and also a top with the range supercharged V6 that creates 380 horsepower. Combined by using the aluminum-intensive monocoque and 4-wheel drive grip, plus the Velar will sprint from 060 miles per hour in 5.3 seconds. What's the Range Rover Velar like inside? Like the outside, the Velar's interior is often a design triumph. The dashboard is dominated by 2 10-inch color touchscreens realistically work in tandem. The top of the one is often a more conventional Satin screen, as the lower you are integrated into your center console with curved edges such as a modern phone screen. The rotary dials are multifunctional, their graphics changing according towards the settings you're changing. They're tactile and grippy, modeled on digital SLR lenses. Despite a sleeker roofline plus a more reclined screen, The driving position is pure Range Rover. You sit high with great visibility, hands gripping a sculpted, chunky wheel. Our example was fitted that has a panoramic glass roof, a 1,115 pounds option, filling the cabin with light. Another option can be a brand new base trim material, developed with Scandinavian textile company Kvadrat. It softens the inner while maintaining reasonably limited feel. Overall, the Velar's ultra-modern interior moves Range Rover's game on within technology and luxury. What's it wish to drive? Our test car became a 3.0-liter V6 turbo diesel fitted with all-the-air suspension. On its lowest ride setting, the Velar is comfortable and also stable. Delve into the touchscreen menus and switch everything towards the dynamic setting as well as the car stiffens, the steering and throttle response sharpen, but don't imagine it becomes a sports car. The Velar feels accurate and willing, along with the 8-speed gearbox works well while using paddle shift. However, in a bid to feel rock solid and planted about the road, it never dances lightly. Instead, the Velar's setup and character suits a long-distance, less frenetic pace, crossing continents at 100 miles per hour in lieu of tackling a switchback road. Can the Range Rover Velar still off-road? While the Velar probably can't manage the total swamp driving, boulder climbing trick which a full-size Range Rover can easily still do, it hasn't got the wheel articulation. It's nevertheless an off-roader like all other Land Rover product. The spec carefully lists approach and departure angles, terrain response along with all the air suspension can jack the vehicle up till it seems like it's on stilts, as well as there really are a million almost electronic systems up to speed. One would be the Intelligent Driveline Dynamics IDD, which uses sensors that measure leader angle, throttle position, yaw rate and lateral acceleration to continually estimate the number of grip, and distribute torque accordingly. As section of our try we tackled a steep rocky climb, the top broken into craggy rubble. Needless to state, the Velar drove upright, and virtually drove itself down using the most up-to-date off-road cruise control system, All-Terrain Progress Control ATPC. So many acronyms, they will just replace all with GAP, it will go anywhere practically. Parker's verdict. The world probably wasn't shouting for a fourth Range Rover model. The good news is it's here. It's clearly usually a massive hit. The looks really are a big component of that. Yes, all Range Rovers have the same family face, but it is a stunning car inside metal, particularly in silver with all the optional 22-inch wheels. There's additionally that interior, with all the advanced screen technology which innovative Kvadrat fabric. As a long-distance GT, the form of car that can sweep you effortlessly from London to Berlin, the modern Velar can be a serious new contender. Wide selection of engines covering power and economy. Can tow approximately 2,500 kilograms, with approximately 700 Nm of torque. Large amount of driving modes for every single terrain. For the countless who will choose the Range Rover Velar dependent on looks alone, engine performance could be almost inconsequential. However, there is often a wide SP watch usually chosen that will help tailor your Velar dependent upon whether you value efficiency or performance. We'll handle fuel economy separately below, but suffice to convey no Velar is what you'd reasonably label slow. However, some are way quicker than others. Range Rover Velar diesel engine choices. D180 to 2.0 liter, 180 horsepower, 430 Nm of torque, 062 miles per hour in 8.4 seconds, 125 miles per hour top speed. D240 to 2.0 liter, 240 horsepower, 500 Nm of torque, 062 miles per hour in 6.8 seconds, 135 miles per hour top speed. D 300 to 3.0 liter, 300 horsepower, 700 Newton-meters of torque, 062 miles per hour in 6.1 seconds, 150 miles per hour top speed. The 2.0-liter engines are 4-cylinder turbodiesels, and as you are able to see, the slowest Velar gets from 062 miles per hour within 8.4 seconds. The 3.0-liter engine can be a V6. Note the huge 700 Newton-meters of torque, which can be great for towing and challenging off-road work. Not really that we imagine many Velars might find much on the latter. Range Rover Velar petrol engine choices. P250 to 2.0 liter, 250 horsepower, 365 Newton-meters of torque, 062 miles per hour in 6.4 seconds, 135 miles per hour top speed. P300 to 2.0 liter, 300 horsepower, 400 Newton-meters of torque, 062 miles per hour in 5.7 seconds, 145 miles per hour top speed. P380 to 3.0 liter, 380 horsepower, 450 Newton-meters of torque, 062 miles per hour in 5.3 seconds, 155 miles per hour top speed. Again, the two main .0-liter engines are 4-cylinder motors. These turbo petrols include the newest engines fitted inside Velar. This modernity definitely makes the slowest accelerating petrol model almost as quick because the fastest diesel. However, be aware that even by far the most powerful 3.0-liter V6 supercharged petrol, the P380, is nearly outgunned for torque from the least powerful diesel Velar. So if towing can be a priority, a diesel can be your best bet. The P380's raw performance is unmatched, though, taking just 5.3 seconds to sprint 062 miles per hour. As you move, the 155 miles per hour top speed is electronically limited. 4-wheel drive and 8-speed gearbox as standard. Every Velar is included with 4-wheel drive plus an 8-speed automatic transmission as standard. While we have been impressed with the Range Rover's performance, if this has a weak area it's this gearbox. Though comparable to units utilized by other carmakers, inside Velar attempting to seems indecisive, hunting around to the optimum gear on twistier roads. It's also far away from being the smoothest transmission we've ever experienced, proving particularly jerky when called upon for any sudden downshift caused by hard acceleration. It somewhat undermines the intended luxuriousness of Velar travel like a result. You usually takes manual control using paddle shifters within the steering wheel, either temporarily inside regular drive mode or permanently if activated from the sport setting. Simply secure the upshift paddle to revert to automatic. Manual shifts are reasonably responsive, nevertheless not the smoothest. And sadly the paddles are produced from plastic in lieu of having a tactile and premium finish, including cool aluminum. As to the 4-wheel drive system, this delivers good traction on off-road, so that no matter how powerful the engine you'll rarely get the Velar struggling for traction in regular driving. In fact, a huge array of driving modes mean you're unlikely to struggle no matter what circumstances. We've covered these inside the handling section below. Adaptive damping as standard. Plus air suspension on V6 models. Very capable off and on road. If you want essentially the most satisfying SUV to push in this segment, it's simple, purchase a Porsche Macan. That said, whilst the Range Rover Velar can't match its German rival for precision and depth of handling talent, it's nonetheless an engaging steer, and not just for a vehicle of the company's size. You can have a lot of fun driving one of these brilliant adaptive suspension All Velars include what Land Rover calls adaptive damping technology as standard, essentially meaning the shock absorbers have variable quantities of response which might be selected for several kinds of driving and terrain. At this stage we have now only driven V6 engine models, though, that also get the addition of air suspension as standard, enabling variable ride height along with a great recipe watch between comfort and control. What would be the Range Rover Velar love to drive? Taking that air suspension caveat under consideration, this is the fundamentally well-sorted machine. The control weights, for example the steering along with the brakes, are generally rather light, and don't offer quite a lot of feedback. But they didn't leave us feeling completely from touch, and suit the generally relaxed nature of what is of course supposed to be a lavish vehicle. Throw it with a country road, however, or perhaps a sequence of roundabouts, as well as the Velar is pleased to respond with enthusiasm. Body roll is found but not excessive, and combined which has a powerful engine you may make rapid progress. But that is a large, relatively long vehicle. Therefore you never completely escape this impression of substantial bulk from in the driver's seat. We were always aware there was obviously a lot of Velar behind us, for instance, and watching it through tight streets is usually a slightly nervous affair. Parking is produced easy from the available cameras. We'd recommend this as rear visibility is usually a little limited. A huge array of driving modes available. Range Rovers have famously employed a terrain response system for several years, which adapts to various types of surfaces and driving. What's potentially confusing is always that there are 3 systems sticking with the same names available about the Velar. Basic terrain response provides standard on all models, and this also includes eco, comfort, grass, gravel, snow, mud, ruts and sand settings, with an additional dynamic mode should you opt to get a sporty or dynamic version on the Velar. Each setting makes adjustments towards the engine, transmission, all-wheel drive, suspension and stability control in order to help you make the perfect possible progress wherever you're driving. As an optional extra, be able to upgrade to terrain response 2, which adds an automatic setting, and that means you don't even want to touch the controls to have the benefit. In addition to this particular, there can be all-terrain progress control, which can be described to be a low-speed cruise control system created to make off-road driving easier. The idea is the fact that it allows the motive force to concentrate on steering without needing to worry about grip and traction, no matter how tricky the floor is and whether you're getting larger or downhill. Both these extras are affordable. Other driving tricks comprise of hill descent control, as you'd expect, but there's fashionable system called low traction launch, that helps you start shifting slippery surfaces, for instance snow, where conventional stability control systems often struggle. It can even wade 600 mm of water, rising to 650 mm while using air suspension package. To state the least, the Velar is comprehensive. What's more, the majority of functions are controlled through Touch Pro Duo infotainment system, which manages the remarkable feat of looking astonishingly good while still proving user-friendly, intuitive and minimalist. More on this inside behind the wheel section below. Amazing, cutting-edge minimalist cabin. Most of the USB ports works very well, too. Shame about some in the plastics. If you think that the Range Rover Velar looks slick within the outside, just hold off until you see the within. The clean, decidedly angular design does rather put us in mind on the 1980s, but we doubt most will complain. The majority of materials within touching distance appear good quality, and what's more, despite our conscious effort at minimizing the amount of buttons, the Velar remained surprisingly simple to operate. The key to the present is undoubtedly the Touch Pro Duo infotainment system. How good could be the Touch Pro Duo infotainment system within the Range Rover Velar? We are utilized to car makers shifting controls into touchscreens right now, but few have managed it as well since this Range Rover. Upon first entering the vehicle, design aside, nothing appears too spectacular. But press the starter button as well as the whole interior comes alive. The most obvious screen inside middle from the dashboard levers itself forward. The darker part of dashboard below this has lights and, where fitted, the sun's rays blind to the panoramic glass roof automatically retracts. It's quite the display, particularly once you realize that lower dark section on the dashboard is and a touch screen. Here you control the greater important secondary functions such as climate control along with the driving mode selection. A row of tabs on the top of this display allow it to become easy to switch between these characteristics, which can be then controlled via responsive virtual buttons which can be commendably simple to activate while driving, or perhaps the rotary controls on each side. Everything looks beautiful, the graphics for that different driving modes specifically, but more to the point it all is proven to work. It may take that you little while to obtain used to finding things, but once you do, this really is perhaps the initial touchscreen control system that improves on conventional buttons. Satan of still not perfect? Continuing this button freeform, the controls for the steering wheel are touch sensitive also, while there's another screen with the instruments rather than conventional dials, plus a multifunction head-up display available for an option. We did chose the Satan of systems routing options. Occasionally curious, one journey its optimum route was 45 minutes over the one suggested by Google Maps, and this is not since it was doing anything clever with traffic alerts. Some bad quality plastics. While the general impression on the Velar is quite high, you will discover some cheaper feeling plastics, particularly around the seat bases, as you'll discover once you come to adjust the seats, along with the lower door areas. Considering top-end Velar list prices exceed £80,000 with finance costs to suit, it is bordering within the unacceptable. But we suspect most buyers will overlook these concerns because of the exceptional experience elsewhere inside cabin. Air suspension produces generally comfy ride. Doesn't completely smother bumps, though. Refinement less hushed as we'd hoped. As stated previously, while all versions on the Range Rover Velar have adaptive suspension, as well as a comfort mode, as standard, we now have so far only driven V6 models, which consist of additional air suspension technology. Air suspension is mostly considered great news for comfort, trading away some handling decisiveness due to this very advantage. They can often think a touch jittery, however, problems that we're glad to report isn't going to afflict the Velar. For probably the most part, this Range Rover is usually a comfortable SUV. Journeys of numerous hundred miles may be completed with virtually no sign of physical complaint. It doesn't entirely soothe away rough surfaces, though, and that means you will find that lumps and bumps do send the casual shockwave from the cabin, and yes, it does appear slightly jarring in reply to these. The large wheel choices, alloys nearly 22 inches in diameter, can be purchased, don't benefit this issue. Another slightly disappointing aspect could be the refinement. Admittedly, the first edition P380 V6 petrol we sampled was on huge 21-inch alloy wheels, but plenty of road noise was present within the cabin. Similarly, we weren't especially enthralled because of the engine's bellowing sound clips when accelerating. Any expectations of the hushed, isolated driving environment are quickly crushed, though it is relative, so with regards to cars normally, the Velar is pretty quiet. It's merely quite as quiet because luxurious interior and premium exterior might make you expect. The optional massage function to the front seats can be rather lame by the most recent standards, so sadly you may seek solace because By using sustainable, premium textile upholstery. Being an alternative, leather can be a nice touch. That is a dapple gray finish co-developed using a high-end design textiles maker called Kvadrat. Leather does remain on the market to those who need it. Twin-screen media system as standard, but no sat-nav within the base model. Rear dynamic package of idle optional extra. The Range Rover Velar also comes in 4 trim levels, as well as the limited first edition at launch, including a choice of standard and rear dynamic finishes. Here's what you get as standard. Standard Range Rover Velar SUV equipment. 8-speed automatic transmission. All-wheel drive. Terrain response with torque vectoring. Adaptive suspension. 18-inch alloy wheels. LED headlights. Heated front seats. Heated acoustic windscreen. Automatic lights and wipers. Cruise control. Keyless entry. Bluetooth. DAB radio. In-Control Touch Pro Duo infotainment system. Choose the Velar S, therefore you'll go for 19-inch alloy wheels. Air suspension only on V6 models. Auto-dimming exterior mirrors. Premium LED headlights with auto high beam. Powered tailgate with gesture control. Leather upholstery. 10-way electric front seats. 380 watts Meridian sound system hi-fi upgrade. Satellite navigation. Wi-Fi hotspot. Rear view camera. Progress with a Velar sand equipment includes 20-inch alloy wheels. Matrix LED headlights with intelligent high beam assist. 825 watts Meridian surround system hi-fi upgrade. 12.3-inch digital instrument cluster. 360-degree parking aid. Topping the standard range could be the Velar HSE, it adds 21-inch alloy wheels. Higher quality Windsor leather upholstery. Extended leather interior. 20-way powered seat adjustment. Massage and climate front seats. Satin chrome interior detailing. Power adjustable steering column. Flagship on the launch range may be the Velar First Edition, building upon the HSE's kit roster while using a dynamic exterior pack. Optional Range Rover Velar SUV extras. The prime optional extra for all those Range Rover Velars will be the aerodynamic package. Available through the range, it's fitted as standard about the First Edition. This adds an even more aggressive external appearance plus a volume of other extra styling details and is particularly expected to be very popular inside the UK. Usually, by far the most expensive upholstery finish within the Velar isn't leather, but a specially developed premium textile intended as being a sustainable alternative. This is available individually and as portion of an upgrade pack. You can find leather luxury packs available, too. Other interesting options include laser headlights for especially long high-beam performance and off-road upgrades that consist of terrain response 2-tier locking rear differential. 6 airbags and ABS standard. More active tech fitted on higher trim levels. 5-star Euro NCAP rating. The Range Rover Velar covers all of the safety basics. Autonomous emergency braking ABS, lane departure warning, as well as a comprehensive suite of stability control systems are fitted as standard. You will also get 6 airbags, power-operated child locks along with a brake pad wear sensor. More adventurous types will appreciate the hill descent control, Hill launch assist, gradient release control and low traction launch are common standard throughout the Velar range too. You get automatic high beam, the help of Velar's upwards, while SAIAD's blind spot monitors, traffic sign recognition, adaptive speed limiter, rear cross traffic alert along with a driver condition monitor. HSE gets all the more active with adaptive cruise control, plus blind spot assist and lane keeping assist, which actively intervene and keep you in lane and prevent merging while using vehicle close to you. When crashed because of the experts at Euro NCAP in 2017, the Velar achieved a 5-star rating, its 74% score for pedestrian safety being good to get a high-rise SUV. How many ICE-fix baby car seats can I integrate a Range Rover Velar SUV? Just the two, within the outer rear seats. The ICE-fix sockets may be accessible though, as opposed to buried deep between seats, plus there is plenty of room within the back to maneuver your children into position. Given how big the Velar looks through the outside and the way long it feels from driving, the lining space for people is really a little underwhelming to begin with. 4 adults could make themselves reasonably comfortable, however, there is not an enormous volume of rear knee room, and anyone forced in the middle 5th seat will see themselves straddling the transmission tunnel. Not well suited for longer journeys. Cabin storage is okay in lieu of good, but you will find plenty of USB sockets for hooking up mobile phones. There are a few interesting optical illusions going on while using Velar's exterior. It looks long and narrow, yet only over 4.8 meters is far away from being the longest SUV around, while its 2.1 meters width from mirror tip to mirror tip is definitely rather broad. In simple terms, you'll have to have a big garage in the event you're intending to tuck it away nightly. Parking requires care, but plenty of sensors and cameras to be had. Technology makes light work of many spaces. The Range Rover Velar isn't short of boot space, which is prior to deciding to fold the back seats flat, which adds over 1,000 liters more flat pack furniture capacity. Not that Range Rover buyers buy flat pack furniture. Antiques, possibly, if clichés need to be believed. Making life even sweeter, you'll find multiple fold-out curry hooks inside boot likewise, plus load restraint rails available just as one option. Shame the trunk seats don't fold totally flat, though.